Okay, so I've been wanting to talk about this, particularly this article was made last week. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to make a video, going in full details about this. But the NBA ratings are tanking, all right? They're at an all time low, okay? No one cares to watch NBA basketball. Now, truth be known that normally in the first half of the NBA season, is everyone's concentrating more on college basketball. They're concentrating more on the NFL and the playoffs and the Super Bowl. The holidays. There are a lot of things that can possibly affect the NBA ratings. Now, judging on which side of the fence you believe, does it fully the full reason why the ratings are down, or is pretty much not a reason why the NBA ratings down. Nevertheless, those factors are presented, each and every year. But I've been noticing, and a lot of other people have been noticing, that the NBA ratings have been, down. It's been a snooze fest, particularly on the eve of the NBA signing a TV deal, a big time TV deal with ESPN and ABC. You got NBC. So you got a lot of streaming services and networks that have signed, enormous deals to have live NBA games. Hulu, they do live NBA games as well. NBA TV. The list goes on and on and on and on. So on the eve of signing that enormous contract to have live NBA games, playoffs, the tournaments, the NBA finals, the All-Star games, the skills competition, the dunk contest, three-point contest. On the eve of that, it's not very well for the people who invest in the NBA. The NBA right now is not in a good place for those who are subscribed to the NBA season pass. Okay, so there are those factors present, but I really do want to talk about the main reason why the NBA ratings are down. Now, a lot of people are doing, particularly content creators on YouTube, content creators on social media, is contributing to these factors. Contribute. Well, they don't play defense. It's too much scoring. They're letting the players ruin the league. It's too much player empowerment. The list goes on and on and on. I believe those factors play a smidge of the problem, but I think the real biggest problem no one is really focusing nor talking about is the product itself. And when you talk about the product itself, I'm not talking about today's NBA players are not that talented. Today's NBA players are not that athletic. Today's NBA players' IQs are not that high. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about when I'm referring to the product. I'm referring to, and if you look at other leagues, if you look at Major League Baseball, if you look at the NFL, if you look at college football, if you look at college basketball, there is a trait that all of those successful things I've just mentioned, why the ratings are so high in those markets and why the NBA ratings are continuing to drop. And it's the main factor, and I've been talking about this. If you've been subscribed to my channel, this shouldn't be new to you unless you're new to my channel. But the real reason why the NBA ratings are not that good is because there are no rivalries. If you look at Major League Baseball, the Red Sox and the Yankees, that always considered a rivalry. If you look at the Dodgers and the New York Mets are considered a rivalry. When the Astros were at their peak, that was considered a rivalry, the team that everyone loves to hate. If you look at the National Football League, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the favorite. That's a rivalry, particularly when the Kansas City Chiefs are playing teams in their division. When you talk about the Dallas Cowboys, you know, that's the team that you either love or hate. But when you love seeing them the most is when they're playing in their teams in their division. When the Eagles are destined to go deep and further in the playoffs, that is considered a rivalry. When the Dallas Cowboys play the Commanders, I'm about to say the other name, that is considered a rivalry. People, wake up to see these games, these types of games. So there are rivalries in the NFL that are marketable that the NFL, posts and advertise where numerous fans, numerous viewers come and watch these rivalries. And the same goes for college football, and the same goes for college basketball. Rival teams is what generates the ratings. When you look at the NBA, and I'm talking about maybe 6-8 years ago, probably a decade ago, when everyone loves to see the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James rivalry with the Golden State Warriors. Those numbers were through the roof. Everyone loved those rivalries, and that's what the NBA is lacking. They're lacking rivalries. They're lacking teams that they can advertise to the casual fan that, hey, look, come check out our product. You want to see when the New York Knicks are going up against the Boston Celtics. You want to see the Boston Celtics go up against the Miami Heat. You want to see the Golden State Warriors go up against the Los Angeles Lakers. You want to see these rivalries. And they don't advertise these rivalries, not because they choose not to, because these rivalries are non-existent, okay? Because the constant turnover in having a consistent player consistently play for the same team. When everyone's trying to, Wonder Twins power activate, I felt like the ratings started tanking when players said to themselves, we need to join up and have a super team. I think the super team era is a blessing, and it's also a curse, okay? When you look at the Miami Heat, well, even before that, a lot of people think that the Boston Celtics created the super team. I felt like those players were a little older. They were a little outside their prime. But when you mix those veteran players with the talent they already drafted, they have won several titles doing that. And a lot of other, superstars took a look at that and said, well, maybe, we should join and form an allegiance of a super team. When you look at, when Carmelo Anthony was discussed as possibly joining LeBron James in Cleveland, okay? But you have to realize these players were young and they were still in their prime. Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant. The list goes on and on and on. When that super team era, when I felt like it hurt and hindered a lot of great rivalries. It would have been some great rivalries if the Oklahoma City Thunder would have stayed intact and, they would play the Golden State Warriors. I thought the Houston Rockets were setting up to have a rivalry with the Golden State Warriors. The Cleveland Cavaliers, that would have been a great rivalry for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I feel like these rivalries no longer exist because of player empowerment. Player empowerment is the reason why we don't have a lot of rivalries. And that's what's hurting the professional basketball, the NBA. It's hard to say, come check out this team, when a lot of these players are moving from team to team. They don't even stay long enough to be on these teams. All right, I understand why the Timberwolves traded away Cat to the New York Knicks, but that's great for the New York Knicks, particularly in the East. But when you're talking about the possibility of the Timberwolves being a serious contender and a serious threat to the Houston Rockets, to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are young and they're revamped and they revived, they're reavailable. It's just you would like to see how that would have played out if Cat would have stayed with the Thunder. They possibly, him and Anthony Davis, along with a slew of the other stars, they could have won a title, okay? And you could use that team and advertise that team on why the NBA is so great. Now you're advertising around individuals. And when those individuals are not performing at an all-time high, you don't have any you have no markable ability. All right. You don't have any markable trust, particularly with the viewership. LeBron James, the NBA will love to advertise around LeBron James. This is not a good year for LeBron James. This is not a good year for the Greek Freak, even though they had a stretch where the Bucks are winning games, but particularly last year it was not a good year for the Greek Freak. The Golden State Warriors, even though they won a title a couple of seasons back, it seems like that title, they won that title, it seems like that title is like 8 years old, okay? You just, and with Klay Thompson going to the Dallas Mavericks, you don't have the Splash Brothers, you don't have, that core member, for the Golden State Warriors, where you can market around the Golden State Warriors as, they was a unique team. Okay, they were built unique. Okay, you either love them, you hated them. Okay, so you don't have and Kyrie Irving when you're promoting these individual talents, and when these individual talents fall off, you don't have nothing else to gravitate to. And I feel like the NBA was too, and particularly the commissioner, he was too player heavy in let's promote the player instead of promoting the teams. A lot of these teams are getting better. A lot of people don't know that the Houston Rockets, drafted a great solid team. A lot of people don't know that the Oklahoma City Thunder drafted a great young team. A lot of people are not familiar with the Boston Celtics. That too is considered a great team, all right? Everyone is sort of glamorized and glazed over, well, LeBron James is still playing. Steph Curry, he's still playing. Kyrie Irving, he's still playing. These individual talented, the Greek Freak, all these individual players that the NBA has been advertising for years. Now these players are getting older, or they're just not in the right circumstances or in the right markets. And now that people have forgotten these players, all right, in some form of fashion, either by their performance or the team that they currently find themselves on. And that's the main reason why the NBA is, failing in the ratings. They don't have teams that they can market. They don't have teams that have rivalries. That this team is, every time when this team comes into town, this is a very important game because of the rivalry, okay, the rivalry factor, all right? So, and you can utilize that particularly if you have a great rivalry and these two teams are mediocre, or one of these teams look like they're not going to make it into the playoffs, still people will go see these games. People will actually sit in their living room to watch these games because this is a rivalry. Even though these teams are not, heading to the playoffs, or you're not too sure if they're going into the playoffs or winning the NBA title, still you would still watch this game because of the importance of it being a rival team going against their rival foes. And that's why the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, that's why they get a lot of attention. They get a lot of attention. And the reason why they are the popular team in the NFL is not because they're going into the playoffs or they have won Super Bowls. They won Super Bowls, 20 years ago. All right. But, this is why the Dallas Cowboys are in everyone's thoughts. This is why the Dallas Cowboys are on social media. This is why Dallas Cowboys name, it means some sort of importance. I don't know if it's going to, I don't know if this is going to be the same next year or in the future, but this is why people talk about the Dallas Cowboys. You either love them or you definitely love to hate them because of the importance of this team, the importance of this team playing rival ball clubs, rival football teams. The importance of this team when this team plays your favorite team, like the Kansas City Chiefs or the New England Patriots when they had Tom Brady, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or whatever the case may be. This is why the ratings skyrocket when the Dallas Cowboys are on. The reason why the ratings go up when the Dallas Cowboys are on is not to the fact of what they're doing on the field or their record. It's because they have earned the right, because of those rivalries and because of the marketability of the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people watch these games, and that's why these games are important. That's why people pay tickets to see these games. And it doesn't translate with the NBA because the NBA has been focusing too much on individual talent, and they're not even focusing enough on ball clubs, teams. I feel like the WNBA sees what the NBA is doing wrong, and even though the WNBA ratings they were low, okay, but you got to really invest in the WNBA, particularly with the talent that's coming in. You're starting to see the WNBA create a culture of let's focus on the teams, not individual players. I feel like the outside noise that are not fans of the WNBA focus more on Caitlin Clark. They focus more on Angel Reese. Those names are casual names to casual fans, but I feel like serious diehard WNBA fans are more concerned about the teams. Okay, and it seems like the WNBA is heading in the right direction, and we'll have to wait for like a couple of seasons to figure out how this plays out for the WNBA. But this is a strategy that has been adopted by the NFL, by college basketball, male and female, by college football. That's what you have to market the teams. If you look at these individual sports like tennis, track, gymnastics, and I love these other sports, but there's a reason why these other sports ratings are not that high each and every day, because the people are only concerned when the major events happen. Track and field is not front and center until what? The Olympics. Tennis, male or female, is not on anyone's mind or on anyone's radar until Wimbledon or the U.S. Open. Okay, just like golf, the Masters, So, and same with gymnastics. No one really cared about gymnastics until the Olympics. Okay, so when you focus too much on individual talent, or individual player, not talent, but an individual player, therein lies the struggle. So, yeah, they need to get their stuff together, the NBA. They should look at this season. You're on the eve of signing a major TV deal with all these networks, and it seems like you're throwing bad money on a bad ideal. Throwing good money on a bad ideal. I think the commissioner needs to focus more on teams and less so on individuals. I feel like a lot of things are going to play a factor. LeBron James, the possibility of him retiring in the next couple of years, he will have to focus more on teams. If you look at Steph Curry, Steph Curry is not getting any younger; he's getting older. Even the Greek Freak, you need to start focusing more on teams, and that's why, if you look at the last couple of titles, the importance of having a team is very important for those teams to win titles. I think the NBA has a huge future ahead of itself. It's a bright future when you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. Sooner rather than later, they're going to start making deep runs into the playoffs, possibly win a title. If you look at Houston, the same with them. If you look at the Boston Celtics, Even though it's not homegrown made, if you look at the New York Knickerbockers, a lot of these teams are focusing more on selecting the right player in the draft, or selecting players that you can trade later on for the right player for your scheme or your system. Or you can be like Oklahoma and Houston Rockets and just tank a couple of seasons and get some great quality players to build around the cornerstones into having a great team. Okay, now that's what's wrong with the NBA ratings. I'm pretty sure people are going to say otherwise. Whatever you guys say, comment in the comment section. The comment section is your guys' domain. You can you can like the video. You can hate the video. If you have a disagreement with my theory, you can comment in the comment section. It's all fun and games. Guys, I will talk to you later. Deuces.